Yeah.
Ooh. Okay. Welcome to another edition of Game Time Situation.
We've got a jam-packed and historical show for you, so make sure you stay tuned to TV2.
Historical? I hate history. How fun can this possibly be?
Believe me, Brendan, this is a AU sports history. You'll enjoy it.
Well, if you say so, but if we start talking about the Gold Rush and Lewis and Clark, I'm walking out.
All right, settle down, Brendan. You want to get started?
Well, what time is it?
It's game time.
Who? Okay, it was this easy for the 8-3 Eagle football team on November 8th. A win over the 2-8 Oilers and you're in the playoffs with a home first round game. And a loss and you're out of the playoffs altogether. Whew, the Eagles sneaked off the Community Stadium field with a narrow 45-38 win over the Oilers and true freshman quarterback Billy Noonan. Noonan took his first career college snaps in the game and looked like a four-year starter in torching the AU defense for 364 yards and 3 scores. Noonan and the Findlay offense scored the first 3 touchdowns of the game and led 21-0 through the first 18 minutes of the game. Ashland did not get on the board until Billy Cundiff found Nick Belanco on a 20-yard score to cut the lead to 21-7 with 10:47 to play in the first half. Frank Cardone then caught a touchdown pass to answer another Findlay score to make it 28-14 Findlay at halftime. But with their backs against the wall, the Eagles were not going to surrender this game on Senior Day with a home playoff game on the line. The Eagles came up with the only 2 scores of the third quarter as they were able to move the ball and got key defensive stops against Findlay. Damaris McCoy chimed in with both of the touchdowns, one from 8 yards and the other from 1 yard out, to tie the game at 28-28. After Cameron Stevens' field goal gave Findlay a 31-28 lead early in the fourth quarter, it was Cardone again who gave the Eagles their first lead of the game as he caught a 9-yard touchdown in the middle of the end zone to give Ashland a 35-31 lead. Ashland's own Greg Berkshire added a field goal to give the Eagles a 38-31 lead with 4:35 to play, but the Findlay offense wasn't done. They moved the ball 61 yards down the field to tie the game at 38 on a touchdown to DeJarian Smith with 2:15 left. But that's when the Eagles had the play of their season.
This is Carlin Isles from the 16. He's looking for space. He doesn't have a lot of it, but he tries to create it, and he does. He creates it. He's running down the sideline, the 40, the 35. He's running. He's got all the sideline to go. He's going to go in for the score. 2 minutes to play in the fourth quarter, and Carlin Isles gives the Ashland Eagles the lead as he sprints up the sideline to give the Eagles a one-touchdown lead. A big special teams play. He looked like he ran out of room at the 35, and he just continued to run. Everybody on the Ashland side of the ball is exploding.
You saw it here on TV2. Freshman return man Carlin Isles broke down the left sideline on the ensuing kickoff and streaked 85 yards for the touchdown. The Oilers were able to get the ball inside the red zone on the next possession before Matt Stoynoff was able to pick off an errant throw by Noonan to finally seal the victory and playoff berth for the Eagles. Cundiff finished 27 for 36 with 256 yards and 3 touchdowns on the afternoon, while Belanco finished with 9 catches for 89 yards. Berkshire was also a key in the game as he hit 6 extra points and a field goal for a kicking team that has struggled all season. So Matt, the Eagles sneaked by the Oilers and got a date with the Mavericks from Minnesota State. Were the Eagles able to pick up their first ever playoff win?
Eagles have always been known to fly. On Saturday, November 15th, the Ashland Eagles flew through rainy, windy conditions to win the school's first ever playoff game against the Mavericks of Minnesota State. The Eagles hosted their first ever playoff game as well and came out a winner 27-16. The first quarter started quickly as Maverick running back Ernest Walker scored from 2 yards out on the opening possession, capping off a 12-play, 72-yard drive, taking nearly 7 minutes off the clock. The extra point was wide right, but the Mavericks led 6-0 after 1 quarter of play. The Eagles answered the Mavericks' scoring drive in the second quarter with one of their own. GLIAC Player of the Year Billy Cundiff led the Eagles downfield, and on 3rd and goal, Cundiff found Damaris McCoy in the end zone for a 3-yard touchdown. The Eagles' extra point sailed through, and the Eagles led 7-6. After a Tom Brenner fumble recovery, the Eagles struck again as Cundiff, this time with his feet, ran from 5 yards out, finishing the drive that started on the Eagle 15-yard line. The Eagles missed, though, their extra point, so the scoreboard read 13-6 in favor of the good guys. That would be the Eagles. Walker plunged down the Eagle sideline as he ran over 2 Eagle tacklers on his way to a 19-yard touchdown, tying the game at 13 with 43 seconds left in the half. Ashland could be known as the Windy City after what occurred on the field in the third quarter. With the wind howling, the Eagles were faced with the tough task of driving downfield in the wind that could blow over top-heavy children. Ashland was forced into 2 straight 3-and-outs, and Derek Riedel punted twice, totaling 11 yards. Yes, you heard me correctly, 11 yards. The Eagle defense played tough, though, throughout the third quarter as they stopped the Maverick drives, forcing a missed field goal and also a block to the next extra attempt. The Eagles then had possession again, not gaining any yards, and decided to go for 4th down. The speedster Carlin Isles was stuffed in the backfield again, turning the ball over on downs. The defense continued their hot streak in the bitter cold, forcing a turnover by downs by the Mavericks. Their third quarter ended with both teams combining to gain only 61 yards, but with the change of the wind came a change in the offensive production for the Eagles. The Eagles were going with the wind in the fourth quarter, and Cundiff took full advantage. Trailing by 3, Cundiff looked deep downfield and delivered a pass that will forever be remembered. On 3rd and 21 from the Eagle 34, Cundiff heaved up a prayer to Joe Horn, who came down with a catch and scampered into the end zone for a touchdown. Needless to say, that prayer was answered. That was the backbreaker for the Mavericks, and McCoy, for good measure, made sure a comeback was out of reach as he scored from 7 yards out with 2 minutes and 10 seconds remaining, capping the scoring. The Eagles traveled to that beloved team in Grand Valley Saturday for a rematch with the Lakers. Congratulations to the Eagle football team, and we wish you luck. After all the football talk, we're in need of a break. Join us on the other side of this timeout when we come back.
Our children want to know everything about the world around them. And yet sometimes what they discover makes them feel vulnerable and insecure. In times like these, they need the comfort of an adult, the honesty of parents, and playtime to help them deal with their feelings and fears. Time that will literally heal their hearts. The gift of imagination allows children to see a better world. Playtime allows them a chance to practice creating it. Don't underestimate the power of play.
I am the port in the storm.
I am the line in the sand.
Roger that, everything looks good. I am the rescuer in the dark. It's okay, I got you. I am the enforcer of the seas.
We are the defenders of the homeland. We are the shield of freedom. We are the United States Coast Guard.
Heed your country's call. Join the Coast Guard or Coast Guard Reserve, the shield of freedom.
Welcome back to Game Time Situation. Ashland's men's soccer team did not enter the GLIAC tournament with a ton of confidence, with just 3 wins in their last 7 matches. But as the regular season champs, the Eagles had the home field. On November 6th, the Eagles hosted Saginaw Valley in the semifinals of the GLIAC playoffs, but the Cardinals, whom the Eagles had beaten twice in the regular season, knocked off Ashland 4-2. Ashland took an early lead in the 3rd minute as Tom Mangotic struck with a 30-yard free kick that fell into the back of the net for Ashland's 1-0 lead. The Eagles eventually led 2-0 in the 13th minute as Adam Spanbauer scored his 16th goal of the season from an assist from Kenny Hewitt. But Saginaw, which sneaked into the postseason, did not let the early deficit deter them as they posted 3 goals in the final 23 minutes of the half and led 3-2 in halftime. A final goal in the 69th minute made it 4-2, and the Cardinals walked off AU's field with a victory, even though Ashland took 12 shots in the second half. The Cardinals were eventually eliminated in the championship game by Tiffin, who won the GLIAC playoff championship. Each of the 3 games in the tournament ended in a 4-2 score. Matt, what do you think the chances are of that?
I have no idea.
I don't know either. I'm just asking. Well, even though the Eagles could not come away with the GLIAC title, they still remained alive in the chase for a national championship, but they would have to go to Kansas City to play Northern Kentucky in the first round of the NCAA playoffs. Don't ask me why they had to go to Missouri to play a school near Cincinnati. I just work here. Well, the Eagles apparently did not like the travel nor the artificial service at Rockhurst University as they fell to a 3-0 deficit in the first half against NKU. Earlier this year, the Eagles and Norris battled to a 1-1 draw in Ashland. That game featured a pair of scuffles and an undeserved red card against the Eagles. None of that was present in this match, but the Eagles made it exciting in the second half. First, Mangotic drilled a terrific goal off a rebound to cut the lead to 3-1. Then, in the 72nd minute, Hewitt found Ross Ashley making a run in the penalty area, and he crossed the ball. Ashley slid at the ball and pushed it into the net to make it 3-2. The Eagles had a terrific chance to tie the game in the 80th minute, but Mangotic's shot drilled the crossbar, and in the 86th minute, the Eagles could not capitalize on a corner kick. So the Eagles left Kansas City after just 1 game and left their final season record at 15-4-2. It was still one of the greatest turnarounds in AU athletic history after the team went 0-17-1 in 2007. They returned their top 4 scorers and all but one of their defenders as the Eagles will try and defend their GLIAC regular season title in 2009. Matt, that wraps up the soccer season, but basketball season has just begun. How did the men start this weekend?
Bird watching was the theme of the day as the Ashland men's basketball team started their season in an exhibition game with their Bird rivals, the Falcons from Bowling Green. The Eagles lost to the Falcons 87-63, but only trailed by 1 at the half. The Eagles actually led with 15 minutes remaining, 48-47, but 32 turnovers seemed to be the backbreaker for the Eagles' chances at an upset. The Falcons took advantage of the Eagle turnovers, scoring 34 points off of the Eagle miscues. Senior guard Brett Wackerly paced the Eagles with 13 points and 5 assists. His roommate, Cale Richardson, led the Eagles with 10 boards, and Bylan Hatcher came off the bench scoring 12 in the loss. The Eagles opened up their season with a win against Ohio Dominican on Saturday, November 15th. Blake Saunders, the nephew of Detroit Pistons head coach Flip Saunders, made his debut in dramatic fashion, scoring 15 points and pulling down 15 rebounds in an Eagle victory. The Eagles' starting 5 all scored in double figures, and the Eagles moved to 1-0 on the early season. Richardson had 17 points in the game to lead the Eagles, and the team shot 50% from the field and connected on 11 threes. The Eagles now lead the all-time series against the Panthers 16-0 as Roger Lyons began his 16th season as the head Eagle on a positive note. Brendan, the Eagles then hosted Mount Vernon Nazarene. How did they handle that challenge?
Well, Matt, the Eagles ran. They didn't run from the challenge, they just ran up and down the court with Mount Vernon on their way to a 109-99 victory. The teams played a very tight first half as neither team was able to gain a very large lead. Ashland led by just 3 points at halftime, 47-44, as the teams were shooting the lights out of Cates Gymnasium. Mount Vernon and Ashland each shot around 50% for the half. The Eagles finally pulled away in the second stanza using the three-pointer to their full advantage. On the day, they shot 12 of 23 from beyond the arc and have now shot 50% for the season. Apparently, when the NCAA moved the line back a foot, they hadn't seen Ashland shoot from that distance. What do you think, Matt? NBA 3 for the Eagles for the rest of the season?
Sounds good to me.
In any case, the Eagles were paced by Cale Richardson, who tallied 30 points and shot 5 for 8 from three-point range. Brett Wackerly hit 6 of 11 threes on his way to 26 points, and Darius Brents added 16 off the bench. The Eagle defense could not stop Mount Vernon's duo of Ben Falkenberg and and Dan Borchert, who combined for 65 points. 65 points. The Eagles are in action Tuesday night at Slippery Rock, and that's all we got for men's hoops. We'll see how the women's team did in their season opener right after this timeout.
When you ask your child what they did in school today, do they tell you what happened here? How about there? Do you ask them questions about who they had lunch with or who they sat next to on the bus? Having a more specific conversation with your child may be the key to bully prevention. Bullying can affect a lot of people in a lot of different ways. Find out how you can help by calling for free information. Make time to listen. Take time to talk about bullying.
These are poor coal mining communities where there's no jobs and no health care. Last year we had 7,000 people, so we know it's needed. Instead of being stationary in one clinic, we bring this clinic to 8 communities. People appreciate so much that we're able to be there with them in a moment of crisis. And that is a gift which keeps me on the road and keeps me going.
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many. But what if you've had just one too many? Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Does peace really have a chance within our lifetime? At Rotary, we believe it does. We've created programs at universities around the world dedicated solely to teaching peace to a new generation. There's a new symbol for peace. Rotary.
Welcome back to Gametime Situation. The Ashland women's basketball team traveled to Youngstown State on November 4th to take on the Penguins in a preseason meeting. The Eagles were led by Betsy Morrison, who stuffed the stat sheets, scoring 17 points, piling up 14 rebounds and dishing out 4 assists in a 79-70 victory. 3 other players scored in double figures for the Eagles as Lindsey Warren poured in 16, Lisa Grau added 12, and Lacey Romine put up 11. The Eagles began their season against Glenville State on November 15th. Did the Eagles soar past the Pioneers, Brendan?
The Eagles jumped out early on Glenville State at Cates Gymnasium on Saturday and came away with an easy 80-41 victory. It was the 300th win in the career of head coach Sue Ramsey and her 205th at Ashland. The Eagles led quickly by a score of 30-11 as they looked out to get out and run against the Pioneers. It was the defense that picked the Eagles up as they forced 15 turnovers and grabbed nearly every defensive rebound that fell off the glass in the half. Ashland had a bit of a hiccup closing out the first half, and the Eagles led by 14 going into halftime. But Ramsey got into her team at the break, and Ashland went on a 28-6 run to start the second half to pull away from Glenville. 11 players saw time on the floor, and only 2 Eagles scored in double figures. Lacey Romine tallied 16 to lead the Eagles, and Betsy Morrison chimed in with 10. Elizabeth Tyler came off the bench with 6 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 steals, while Lisa Grau totaled 9 points, 5 boards, 4 assists, 4 steals, and a block. Ashland allowed just 4 offensive rebounds in the game and out-rebounded Glenville by a total of 44-26. Ashland next had to travel to West Liberty State in West Virginia last night. The Eagles disposed of their opponent 78-68. Led by Lindsey Warren's 25 points on 8 of 15 shooting, the Eagles led by just 4 at the break, but they were able to stretch that lead to a 10-point win. Tyler chipped in 16 for the Eagles, and point guard Alethea Lamberson added 13 points with 4 assists. And perhaps most impressively, the Eagles only attempted 8 3-point shots as they had Warren established in the post all night. The senior also corralled 5 boards, while Tyler had a team-high 7 rebounds. The Eagles are next in action on November 29th against Urbana in the Holiday Inn Express tournament hosted by the Eagles. Matt? That takes us off the hard court and onto the long course. What has the men's cross-country team been up to?
The men's cross-country team earned a spot at the 2008 NCAA Division II Cross-Country Championships thanks to a fourth-place finish on Saturday, November 8th, at the Midwest Regional Championships hosted by Ferris State. The AU men finished with 108 points, and that got them the final spot at Nationals. Grand Valley State, go figure, won the regional championship, and Wayne State finished as the runner-up. Cameron Johnson led the Eagles by placing 12th with a time of 32 minutes and 34 seconds. Brock Weaver finished in 14th with a time of 32 minutes and 39 seconds. Brendan, how did the women's cross-country team do at Ferris State?
The Eagles were unable to qualify for the national meet like the men in the Division II regional tournament. Ashland finished in 12th place at Ferris State. The top finisher for the women's team was freshman Abby Selhorst from Ottawa, Ohio. She finished 37th in the meet with a time of 23 minutes and 28 seconds on the 6-kilometer course. The meet ended the Eagles' regular season. We'll take our final timeout and we'll be back with more Game Time Situation right after this.
Hey, honey. You okay?
Jill's pregnant.
Our Jill?
Our Jill. I've been thinking, though, nothing really has to change because when the baby comes, I'll help her. We'll help her, right?
She's just a kid.
We never thought it would happen to us. We didn't know how to best help her through the tough decisions she'd have to make. We found that help. And not just for her, but for us too.
Where there's help, there's hope.
Big dreams and good grades aren't enough to get into college. There are actual steps you need to take. Finding someone who can help is the first and most important. For the next steps, go to knowhowtogo.org.
Welcome back to Game Time Situation. The men's swimming team won their meet with Grand Valley State on Saturday, November the 8th. Yes, you heard me correctly. Grand Valley actually lost. Sean, that's awesome. Sean McGraw finished first in the 50 and 100 freestyles and was also a part of the first place 400 medley relay team. Eric Hackinson won gold medals in the 200 freestyle, 200 backstroke, and 200 IM and was also on the 400 medley relay team. The Eagle swimmers next took on Indianapolis on Saturday the 15th at home. Every sporting event seemed to occur on the 15th at home. In the event, Todd Polak placed first in the 1,000 freestyle. Chewy Vogel finished first in the 200 freestyle, and Matt Cook took first in the 50 backstroke, leading the Eagles to another successful day in the pool. Brendan, did the women make a splash against Grand Valley and Indy?
On November 8th, the Eagles hosted Grand Valley at the Rec Center Natatorium, but Ashland could not come away with a victory, dropping the match 175 to 115. Maura Anderson paced the AU women with 3 victories. She was first in the 100 breaststroke, 100 butterfly, and 200 IM. Allison Morgan won the 50 freestyle and was on the 400 medley relay that was first. Kristen Wengard claimed top honors in the 100 backstroke, and Emily Hilgert hit the touchpads first in the 100 backstroke. The Eagles then hosted the University of Indianapolis last Saturday, and once again the Eagles could not pull out a win, falling 155 to 125. Several Eagles were able to come away with wins in the meet, but for the third time this year, the women's swimming team did not have enough to top Indy, which holds one of the top swimming programs in the GLIAC. The Eagles are now 2-8 on the season and jump into the pool again this weekend in the Western Kentucky Invitational. Matt, we'll get out of the tank and onto the mats. How did the wrestling team do in their own Harris Open?
The Eagle wrestlers took part in the Harris Open on Saturday the 15th. 3 Eagle wrestlers placed in the event. Kyle Kanaga placed second in the 141-pound weight class, and Daniel Jeanetton placed fourth in the same weight class. In the 149-pound weight class, Dustin Fraley had a solid finish, coming in third. The Eagles' next meet is on Friday in the purple and gold duel at home.
All right, folks, so that wraps up another game time, but we're going to get to a little bit of college sports here, some Division I college sports. There's a game this weekend. I think it's Ohio State and Michigan. Are they playing this weekend?
I think that sounds right, but I might have to check my schedule.
Okay, Matt, we know that the Buckeyes have owned the Wolverines in the past few years, and the Wolverines, again, are not very good. So tell us about this game.
In defense of Michigan, as you can see my colors, I'm rooting for Ohio State, but in defense of Michigan, this is the Ohio State-Michigan game. A lot of people are already counting them out. Not so fast, everybody. This is the biggest rivalry in all of sports, and it's always a great game no matter what the records. But for the Buckeyes, 3-8 for Michigan, worst record in their history as a college football program. I think that does it in for Michigan. As long as Ohio State doesn't hiccup and overlook the Wolverines, I think they can get the job done. How about you?
And that's one team that they certainly won't overlook. But we've seen before Ohio State or Michigan ruin the other's season. Not that Ohio State's season can be completely ruined. They're not in the running for the national title anymore. But I think this thing may be close. It could be close in Columbus. It's a noon game. It should be fun. Everybody's going to be getting ready for this game.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter what the records are. It's Ohio State and Michigan. So everybody in Columbus will be excited for that one. And then we also have another game going on this weekend, another big rivalry, Ashland, Grand Valley in the second round of the playoffs. We'll see. Last time it was a terrific game up in Allendale. The Eagles fell 48-42. Cundiff was great. Ichek was great for the Lakers. How do you see that one playing out?
I think this game will just be another instant classic. You look at the first game, 48-42. The Eagles kept it close. Their defense is playing a lot better, as you saw in last week's game. In the playoffs, I think that'll play really, really well for the Eagles and their offense. It's the Eagle offense. They will score the points. It's just a matter of stopping Grand Valley's prolific offense as well. It's going to be one of those games. It might come down to whoever has the ball last and can put it in the end zone.
And that's about the way it was the last time. They'll pack that stadium. They'll get 14,000 people in that place. And Ashland's sending some fan buses up there, so there will be an Eagle presence up there. But that does it for another episode of Game Time Situation.
Yes, that's too bad. But there's been plenty of excitement building around the AU campus for the football team's run in the playoffs.
That and the Hoops team is just getting heated up as head coaches Roger Lyons and Sue Ramsey get their teams ready for the conference schedule.
And let's not forget about the men's cross country team, which will compete in the NCAA National Championships this weekend.
Well, we'll have one more episode of Game Time Situation. I know it's sad, but that will come 2 weeks from today on December 3rd.
So invite us into your dorm rooms in 2 weeks, and we'll take some more AU athletics.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.